Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our discussion program. Today, we're exploring a question that's often discussed in educational circles. Should students be given the opportunity to evaluate their teachers? It's a topic that brings up strong opinions on all sides, and we're here to delve into those different views. We have two guests with us today to share their perspectives. First, we have Alex, a student representative who believes that student evaluations can be a very positive tool in education. Alex, welcome to the program. And joining us as well is Ms. Evans, an experienced teacher who has some concerns about this practice. Ms. Evans, thank you for being here. Alex argues that student feedback is essential for improving teaching and empowering students. On the other hand, Ms. Evans is concerned that such evaluations might not always be fair or truly beneficial for educational quality. We're looking forward to a thoughtful conversation. Let's begin with opening statements.
Thank you, Sarah. I believe that giving students the chance to evaluate their teachers is a very important step towards better education for everyone. My main argument is that student evaluations are a valuable tool that can significantly improve the quality of teaching and learning. Firstly, let's talk about enhancing teaching quality. Students are the ones who experience teaching every day. They see what works and what doesn't work in the classroom. Honest feedback from students can help teachers understand if their explanations are clear. Are the teaching methods engaging? Are students able to understand the material properly? For example, a teacher might think a certain way of explaining a topic is excellent, but students might find it confusing. Student feedback can highlight these areas, allowing teachers to adjust and improve their methods. This makes teaching more effective. Secondly, these evaluations give students a voice. Education isn't just something that happens to students. They should be active participants, salient. When students know their opinions are taken seriously, they become more engaged in their own learning. It makes them feel respected and that their perspective matters. This can lead to greater responsibility and motivation among students. Thirdly, student evaluations can help foster a better learning environment. When students feel heard and when they see that their feedback can lead to positive changes, it builds trust. This creates a more cooperative and positive atmosphere in the classroom. It's a partnership between students and teachers, working together for the best educational outcome. Now, I understand there are concerns. Some people worry that students might not be fair, or that it could become about which teacher is most popular. These are valid points, but they can be addressed. The key is in how we design these evaluations. Evaluations should be anonymous, so students feel safe to give honest feedback. They should use well-structured questionnaires. These questionnaires should focus on specific teaching practices, like clarity, fairness in grading, and how well the teacher supports student learning. It should not be about personal feelings or how easy a teacher is. The goal is constructive feedback, not criticism for its own sake. When done correctly, student evaluations offer unique insights that can lead to real improvements in our schools. They empower students and help teachers to become even better at their important job. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Alex, for your points. While I agree that student perspectives are important, I have serious reservations about formal student evaluations of teachers. My main argument is that such evaluations, despite good intentions, can create more problems than they solve, and may not lead to genuine improvements in teaching. Firstly, there's a real danger that these evaluations can turn into a popularity contest, rather than a measure of true teaching effectiveness. Effective teaching sometimes means challenging students, pushing them out of their comfort zones, and covering material that's difficult or not immediately enjoyable. A teacher who maintains high standards and demands rigorous work might receive lower evaluations than a teacher who's perhaps more entertaining or gives easier grades, even if the first teacher is providing a better long-term education. Teachers might then feel pressured to focus on being liked by students, rather than on what's educationally sound. Secondly, we must consider student maturity and objectivity. While students experience teaching directly, they may not always have the maturity or the broader understanding to evaluate teaching methodologies fairly. Their feedback could be heavily influenced by factors like their recent grades in the course, their personal liking for the teacher's personality, or how easy they find the subject. It's difficult for students to distinguish between a teacher they like and a teacher who's truly effective in promoting deep learning. Are they equipped to assess pedagogical choices? Thirdly, the fear of negative evaluations could have a negative impact on teaching practices. Teachers might become hesitant to try innovative teaching methods that could be misunderstood by students initially. There could be a pressure to teach to the test or to lower academic standards to ensure students are happy and give positive feedback. This would be a disservice to students in the long run, as it could lead to a decline in the quality and rigor of education. I believe there are more reliable and constructive ways to support teacher development and ensure high-quality teaching. These include peer observations by experienced colleagues, mentorship programs where new teachers can learn from veterans, and ongoing professional development that's based on solid educational research. These methods involve feedback from professionals who understand the complexities of teaching and curriculum design. While we should listen to students, formal evaluations as a primary tool for assessing teachers are, in my view, problematic. Thank you.
Thank you both for your opening statements. Ms. Evans, you raised a strong concern that student evaluations might become a popularity contest. Alex, how would you respond to this? What measures can be taken to ensure that the feedback collected is genuine, constructive, and truly reflects teaching quality rather than just popularity?
That's a very fair concern, and it's one that proponents of student evaluations take seriously. The way to avoid it becoming a popularity contest is through careful design and implementation of the evaluation process. As I mentioned earlier, anonymity is crucial. Students need to feel they can be honest without any fear of negative consequences. More importantly, the questionnaires themselves must be thoughtfully constructed. They shouldn't ask vague questions like, "Do you like your teacher?" or "Is this class fun?" Instead, they should focus on specific, observable teaching behaviors and aspects of the learning experience. For example, questions could be, "Were the learning objectives for the lessons clear?" Or, "Did the teacher provide helpful feedback on your assignments?" Or, "Did the teacher create an environment where you felt comfortable asking questions?" These types of questions guide students to think critically about their learning experience, not just their personal feelings about the teacher. Furthermore, student feedback should never be the only true measure of a teacher's performance. It should be one component of a comprehensive evaluation system. This system should also include peer reviews, classroom observations by experienced educators, and a review of the teacher's professional development activities, as Ms. Evans suggested. Student evaluations provide a unique perspective, the perspective of the learner, that these other methods simply cannot capture. They offer insights into the day-to-day experience in the classroom. When used as one part of a balanced system, and when designed to elicit specific, constructive feedback, they are an invaluable tool, not just a popularity poll.
Alex, you emphasize that evaluations give students a voice. Ms. Evans, student voice is undoubtedly important in education. However, how do you address the potential limitation that students, especially younger ones, may not fully understand the pedagogical reasons behind certain teaching methods or curriculum choices that a teacher makes?
That's precisely one of my main concerns, Sarah. I do believe students have a valid perspective on their own learning experience, how they feel in the classroom, whether they feel supported. We should definitely create channels for that kind of informal feedback. However, formal evaluation is different. Effective teaching often involves strategies and methods that students might not immediately appreciate or understand. For instance, a teacher might use a technique that encourages critical thinking, which can be challenging for students at first. They might prefer a simpler, more direct approach, but the more challenging method could be far more beneficial for their long-term intellectual development. Students are not usually aware of the broader curriculum requirements, learning theories, or the specific developmental needs that inform a teacher's pedagogical choices. They see their immediate experience, which is important, but it's not the whole picture. My worry is that if teacher evaluations are heavily weighted on student feedback, teachers might be pushed towards methods that are popular or students, rather than those that are most educationally effective in the long run. There's a risk of simplifying the curriculum or avoiding complex topics to ensure positive student ratings. This could inadvertently lower educational standards. So while their feelings about the learning environment are useful, using their opinions to formally judge complex professional practice is problematic.
It seems a central point of discussion is the unique value of student feedback compared to other forms of evaluation, such as peer reviews by other teachers. Alex, what specific insights can students offer about teaching that experienced colleagues, observing a class perhaps once or twice, might miss?
Students are in the classroom every single day. They experience the teaching consistently over weeks and months, not just for a single observed lesson. They can provide feedback on the clarity of explanations over time, the level of engagement in different topics, and the overall classroom atmosphere from a learner's daily perspective. This sustained, direct experience provides a viewpoint that a peer observer, no matter how experienced, simply cannot get from a few visits. It's the difference between a snapshot and a long-term film.
I agree that students offer a continuous viewpoint, which can be valuable data. They can tell us how they feel and what they experience. However, this viewpoint, as I've said, often lacks the professional expertise to judge whether the teaching methods are pedagogically sound, appropriate for the curriculum, or meeting diverse learning needs effectively. It's raw data that needs careful interpretation by educational professionals. It shouldn't be the primary factor determining a teacher's formal evaluation or professional standing.
In closing, I want to restate my belief that student evaluations, when implemented thoughtfully, offer significant benefits to our education system. They can lead to improved teaching, as educators receive direct feedback on their methods. They empower students by giving them a meaningful voice in their own education. This fosters a more collaborative and positive learning environment, where everyone feels valued. The concerns about fairness and popularity can be effectively managed through careful design, ensuring anonymity, using well-structured questions that focus on teaching practices, and making student feedback just one part of a larger, comprehensive evaluation system. Let's trust our students. They have unique and valuable insights to offer. By listening to them, we can work together to make education better for everyone involved. Thank you.
To summarize my position, while I value student input in informal ways, I remain concerned about the use of formal student evaluations to assess teachers. The risk of these becoming popularity contests, the fact that students may lack the full understanding needed for objective assessment of complex teaching practices, and the potential for negative pressure on teachers to teach for scores rather than for deep learning, are all serious issues. I firmly believe that teacher evaluation and professional development should primarily rely on methods conducted by educational experts. This includes peer reviews, observations by trained administrators, and a commitment to continuous professional training based on research. Student happiness in the classroom is certainly important, and we should strive for it. However, the formal evaluation of a teacher's professional competence must be grounded in professional standards and proven effectiveness to ensure true educational quality for all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Ms. Evans, for sharing your very thoughtful and detailed perspectives on this important topic. It's clear that the issue of student evaluations for teachers is complex. It involves balancing the value of student voice with the need for fair, expert, and comprehensive evaluation of teaching professionals. We hope this discussion has given our audience much to think about. Thank you for joining us today.